Most of the people you meet have their own stories. However, some stories are far stranger than others. What if somebody told you they used to live on Mars in the past? This is the story of a special Russian boy who claimed to have lived on Mars. Why did he leave the red planet, and what is special about him? Join us as we dive into what happened to the Russian boy that claimed he lived a past life on Mars. One of the long-held dreams of billionaire Elon Musk is to see people living permanently on Mars. The new Twitter owner is committing a large amount of resources and time to achieve this ambition. However, one of the things he's had to come to terms with is how hard it is to survive for a long period on Mars. Mars is a very harsh place to live, as aptly portrayed in the fictional story The Martian by Andy Weir. It is a huge struggle to get to Mars, but the problem is just starting when your aircraft land. Basically, everything is stacked against your survival. The atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, so you simply have to produce your own oxygen. And that is while you are shivering in the seriously cold temperature. Gravity is another issue because it's only 38% of what you're used to on Earth. On top of all these, Mars is bombarded with radiation. Without a protective magnetic shield and a thick atmosphere like Earth's, radiation from space has a nearly unimpeded path to the Martian surface. Musk, however, is in luck, as a Russian boy can be the solution to all his Martian problems. Boriska Kiprianovich has left many people, including scientists all over the world, baffled by his out-of-the-world claim that he once lived on Mars. Boris was an 11-year-old boy living on Volgograd and was reborn on Earth on a special mission. It didn't take long after Boris was born for his parents to realize their son was different. His mother, who is a doctor, explained she always felt something was special about her boy, who was, by all means, a genius. She recounted that he started speaking only a few months after he was born, leaving his peers behind. By the age of 1.5, Boris was reading, drawing, and painting. Do you even remember what you were doing at that age? While Boriska Kiprianovich was in kindergarten at the age of just 2, his teachers couldn't help but notice his extraordinary ability to write and his language learning skills. In a 2017 interview given to a media portal, one of Boriska's kindergarten teachers revealed that he had astonishing memory skills. There have been media reports that Boriska has an IQ of 200. But that wasn't the strangest thing about Boriska. While his peers played in the sand or rode bicycles, Boris would talk for hours about Mars. His parents claimed that they didn't teach their son anything about space, not to talk of Mars when he was a kid. However, Boriska would sit with them and talk about Mars for hours. To their bewilderment, as Boriska's fascination with space and Mars grew, he began claiming that he was from Mars, and it was hard to argue with him because he talked about Mars and space as somebody with deep personal experience on the planet. What made it harder to argue Boriska's origin was his physical appearance. The former Martian is 7 feet tall, but he explained that Martians are extremely tall. According to Boris, many Martians are immortal and stop aging around 35 years old. Before he started interstellar traveling, Boris recalled what it was like to grow up on Mars, and it's markedly different from your average childhood experience on Earth. Boriska said as a 14-year-old, he and his friends were already participating in wars and would often go on air raids. Imagine a ferocious band of 14-year-olds controlling sophisticated fighting aircraft. Martians, as narrated by Boris, breathe in carbon dioxide, which means they have somehow cracked the code of living on Mars. Musk could take a few notes here. Boris said Martians, himself included, could time travel both backward into the past and forward into the future. They're also capable of traveling deep into space to visit other planets and galaxies. They move around on very complicated spaceships, but as a superior species, they can perfectly handle it. Now that Boris is on Earth, he assures us he's not the only Martian kid around. Chances are you bumped into one on your way to get your last coffee. There are many children like him who've been sent on the same mission from outer space. The boy also claimed that these children were reincarnations of the Martian race and were called the Indigo Children. So whatever happened to the Mars of Boris's childhood, that is where the tragedy lies. The Wonder Kid claims his own race, which is the Martian race, was virtually wiped out thousands of years ago due to nuclear warfare. War broke out between two sets of Martians, leading to mutual annihilation. A few Martians that survived the incident are still living on Mars. They have learned how to construct new lodges and weapons. Perhaps one of NASA's rovers will find these survivors one day, or Musk's colonizers will encounter them. So why has Boris come to the Earth? He claims he was dispatched here to warn us of the dangers of atomic warfare. The same end could befall us if we are not careful. He and the other Indigo children are here to remind us to treat each other with respect or deal with nuclear extermination. When Boris is not trying to warn us about the dangers of nuclear wars, he is making predictions, some of which are downright scary. In one alarming doomsday forecast, Boris said the Earth's magnetic fields would reverse. He said the poles would switch, which would have a serious and immediate effect on the environment. The Earth's magnetic field is mostly concentrated at the north and south poles, and any movement can cause drastic changes to the weather patterns. And scientists can't even counter Boris on this because this happened 42,000 years ago in a catastrophe known as the Lachamp event. It resulted in extreme weather that led to the mass extinction of mammal life and some of humanity's nearest relatives. One effect of the switch is that as the magnetic field weakens, more cosmic rays enter the atmosphere and allow more radiation from solar flares to bathe Earth. Extreme weather conditions caused by the flipping of the poles could cause high temperatures and more storms. Boris also talked about the Great Sphinx of Egypt. He said the Sphinx contains a secret, and when open, the Earth and life on it will change and never return to normal. We recommend that nobody goes near that sculpture. He claimed his species has a strong connection to the ancient Egyptians and that he flew there in his previous life as a spaceship pilot on Mars. According to the Indigo child, the Sphinx has an opening mechanism at the back. Although he has forgotten how it works, the key is hidden behind one of the ears. Boris also predicts that more Indigo children will arrive on Earth. Their purpose is to help humanity out of its impending doom, something we would be massively grateful for, as we need all the help we can get. Even before Boris's prediction, some people have speculated about Indigo kids being the next step of human evolution. But that is not all about Boris's predictions. The kid predicted global flooding not once but twice. It is about to get a lot wetter around here, and Boris said relatively few humans would survive these two tragedies. So where is Boris today? Strangely, no one knows. He is alleged to have been taken into the custody of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Boris, however, is not the only person to claim to have lived on Mars. Andrew Basiago is another Earthling claiming to have been to Mars, and his story amazingly ropes in former US President Barack Obama. Andrew and William Stillings are two self-professed time travelers or chrononauts. They are actually government employees whose job descriptions are apparently out of the ordinary. The duo claims Obama and the head of DARPA, Regina Duggan, are also time travelers. DARPA is the agency responsible for keeping US defense current with advancements in technology. Begun as a response to the Sputnik program in the late 50s, DARPA finds ways to integrate cutting-edge tech developments into stuff the military might use. Basiago, who works as a Washington state lawyer, claims to have been part of a time travel program developed by DARPA in the 1970s, codenamed Project Pegasus. He and Stillings maintain that both Obama and Duggan were in their Mars training class at California's College of the Siskiyous in 1980, part of a group of 10 young adults chosen to travel to Mars via a top-secret teleportation jump room. They also claim that the then 19-year-old Barack Obama went by the name Barry Soetoro. Apparently, Obama knows how to choose names. The two former chrononauts also claimed that they ran into the future president at secret US bases on Mars, which he is said to have visited twice between the years 1981 and 1983. On one instance, Basiago said he even exchanged words with the future president en route to the jump room while on Mars. It is nice to have somebody filling us in on the 1980s whereabouts of the ex-president. Basiago claims Obama isn't just lying about his identity, he's lying about his military service record too. Remember how Obama's political opponents in 2008 attacked him for never serving. In truth, he was concealing his participation in the hidden CIA intergalactic program. So why would Andrew and his colleagues travel to Mars? Basiago himself said it was to acclimatize Martian humanoids and animals to their presence. Somebody had to go ahead of Musk's Mars party to prepare the ground. Basiago said Obama was told before taking off, simply put, your task is to be seen and not eaten. But Obama and co. had other mission objectives. The CIA planned to establish a defense regime protecting the Earth from threats from space, as well as a legal claim to territorial sovereignty, making Obama something of a Martian conquistador, or better person to send than the future American president. White House officials have denied all allegations of the president's Martian travels or the existence of a Mars training class. The spokesperson for the National Security Council said the closest Obama came to visiting the Red Planet was watching Marvin the Martian. But of course, that is what you would expect a regime-backing chronologist on top-secret missions to Mars to say. Let's hear what you think of Martians in the comments section below.